Hello and welcome to Talking Tullahoma. I am your host, Kelly Lepchinsky, and I'm here today with a man that if you've lived in Tullahoma for more than 5 minutes should need no introduction. Our former mayor, Lane Curlee, also our former state representative. You've been a face forward in this community for more than 30 years of public service, leading right up to COVID. That, of course, is when we take you out of the mayor's office and have the election that replaced you, but that was your choice.
Yeah, that's right. I always felt comfortable after 9 years to being, well, first of all, being state representative 8 years, which I promised that's all I would do. And I stepped out, didn't run again. And then I did the mayor thing for 9 years, and sat out for 9 years, and was sort of kind of recruited again at that point, did it for 9 years, and was an alderman for 5 years in between there.
Right. Okay.
So 31 years altogether.
Yeah. And I mention that because it kind of leads us into how you got started on the thing we're here to talk about today. We're talking about your Christmas meals program, and we're going to delve into that quite a bit, into how the meals are made, how they're delivered, how they're requested, who helps, how you can help, and who it helps. But I want to talk about how you got the initial idea to do it first. And I tried to do a little bit of math because I know before COVID, you had done this for about 24 years straight through. That would put that around 1996 or around the time you got elected to your second term as mayor. So you got the first term under your belt. You got to know Tullahoma a little bit better, I would think, maybe than you'd been an alderman already by that point. But you got to see some spots in Tullahoma where there was a need. And that is part of what got us to this, is it not?
You're exactly right, Kelly. That when you're mayor, you become aware of perhaps different segments of the community that perhaps you weren't aware so much before. But I'd been a state representative before and covered all of Coffee County and Grundy County. So although I represented Tullahoma as well, I was spending a lot of time other places also. But when you become mayor, you have a sense that maybe there's some needs out there. And so actually when Evelyn started cooking these Christmas meals in our kitchen, but after the first year, it completely outgrew that. Mm-hmm. And then we went through a stage before I would go to a restaurant like the hospital. We would actually ask people to not only package the meals, but bring food in. Mm. So we would have whole tables of casseroles and green, big pans of green beans and corn, and it became a logistic issue to, okay, how much of this do we put in this? Because we were serving a couple of hundred meals. And so we did that. I remember distinctly in one of the conference rooms at the old Steeplechase Inn. People would just bring food in and we would package it and do the best we could. So, but even prior to that, my mom, my late mom, and I think it was probably fairly typical. I mean, I grew up on Stone Boulevard, 3 doors down from Bel Air School, Kelly. And whenever somebody new would move into the neighborhood, and I suspect other moms did this as well, I don't know, but my mom would take a new neighbor a pie, her fudge pie.
Right.
And I guess that's sort of ingrained on me the kindness of that. And so that's another reason why we started doing these holiday meals.
Okay. Yeah. Now, you mentioned, and it was an odd kind of breath. I know what you meant, but you mentioned you were doing this, trying to go through restaurants, and then you said a restaurant like the hospital. Well, that's not the first thing people think of.
No, you're exactly right.
So when did this partnership with the hospital, and how did you make that connection?
Yeah, so probably 8 or 10 or 12 years or so ago, I reached out to the CEO of the hospital and asked if they would mind making some extra meals on Christmas, because they have to. Most restaurants are closed on Christmas, and I understand that. But the hospital, Morrison's, which is a subcontractor to Vanderbilt, Morrison's cafeteria runs the cafeteria at the hospital. They're open.
Right.
They have to serve their staff. They have to serve patients and visitors. So I remember reaching out to the CEO. I don't remember who it was, but I remember, can I buy some meals from you? And that started the conversation. And since that time, we've been buying the meals from the hospital.
Now, most of what we're going to talk about, most of this packaging and delivering is volunteer based, but you do incur some costs because you said we could buy some meals from you. And although the answer is yes, and they give you the space and the opportunity to do it and to bring people in, you do have to defray those costs in some way. So one of the ways that people can help, and we'll talk about more, but one of the ways is to make a donation just to defer the cost. Is that not true?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the hospital is so incredibly generous with the cost of this. They just charge us for the actual cost of the food. They don't charge anything for the labor or anything like that. So if somebody wants to make a small donation, then they can send it to my P.O. Box 84 in Tullahoma. And if there's any money left over, if the money is short, then we make it up, no problem. If there's extra money, then I share that with the employees at the cafeteria because they're the ones that are there on Christmas Eve late preparing these extra three or 400 meals.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. It's not just to defray costs. It actually could be a Christmas bonus of a sort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone has volunteered their time.
Yeah, so historically, each one of the men and women will get $50, $60, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I put that first, but it's clearly not first. It's not the first thing you're looking for. You're looking for people with that holiday spirit of giving. You are looking for the people who are going to volunteer their time on their Christmas morning to come in and help prepare these meals to go out the door and then to take them out the door to the homes of people that need them. So I have always been surprised by this program that you find enough people to do that.
Oh, Kelly, it's amazing the turnout. I mean, just to package the meals, there'll be 100 people there. And the neat thing is, so many families, I've received so many texts. We're so happy you've brought this back. My family missed this tradition. They bring their family, they bring their children, so the children can experience the opportunity to serve others.
Wow.
And so there'll be at least 100 people there. And we've got all the hospital will bring the food out, set it on tables in these large pans. You've seen it at restaurants. Mm-hmm. And then I'll just announce we're ready to start, and we'll make a long line, and they just go round and round and round these tables, you know, with the ham and the sweet potatoes, the green beans, the rolls, and then they'll take that styrofoam container, set it on a table. I've left out a step, and we'll come back to that in a minute if you want to, but and then they'll get in line and go around and around again.
So in the end, how many meals on average would you say get prepared year after year?
Between 300 and 400 meals.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's about 3 or 4% of Tullahoma will receive a meal.
That's a pretty significant percentage. I was going to ask, and then I realized you probably haven't had to have your nose deep in these numbers. But poverty in Tullahoma, or needing some sort of assistance, is more prevalent than we might think it is. Particularly if we're running in the circles with people who have more.
Sure.
We might not see those who have less, or could.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And but you know, when people call me, and I'll get a couple of hundred phone calls on my cell phone over the next couple of weeks, people wanting to receive the meals. I don't ask any questions. Anyone that wants a meal can have a meal. And it could be that they're not necessarily low income, but they're lonely. Mm-hmm. And when I'm making the announcements before the delivery people leave with the meals, Kelly, I encourage, don't judge. You know, don't judge. There could be a nice car in the driveway. There could be a color TV hanging on the wall. But we don't know what's going on inside of that family dynamic. You know? So don't judge. Just knock on the door. If you can, if it's appropriate, have a brief conversation with them. Are there other needs that can be helped? You know, that kind of thing. So it's a pretty cool thing, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to bridge that gap between getting the meals packaged and getting them delivered, because those are going to be two different groups of volunteers that are still needed. But we're going to do that when we come back, right after this.
Tullahoma Utilities Authority now has a branch at 501 West Lincoln Street. The drive-through only branch located in the old Citizens Tri-County Bank will be open on utility and light to bill due dates and the day before and after a TUA observed holiday. Check a complete list of dates at tullahomautilities.com.
Tullahoma Utilities Authority Light Tube Fiber Internet offers true gigabit service to our customers. We pride ourselves on speed, but the backbone of that speed is local tech support, unmatched customer service, and professional service technicians. To sign up, call 455-4515 to gain the reassurance of light tube reliability.
Did you know that Tullahoma Utilities Authority has a solar farm right here in Tullahoma? For as little as $4 a month, you can support solar energy production and breathe a little easier, knowing you're taking positive action to reduce your carbon footprint. Call 455-4515 today. And welcome back to Talking Tullahoma. Once again, I'm your host, Kelly Lepchinsky, and I'm here with former Mayor Lane Curlee, who is bringing back the Christmas Meals program that ran for more than 2 decades before COVID put the kibosh on it for a couple of years. So we know that people are looking forward to both participating in the tradition of preparing and delivering those meals, and there have got to be families or individuals who are looking forward to the visit and the hot meal that will come that morning. Now, do people contact you on either side of this? Do I need to call you to tell you I'm going to be at the hospital, or do I just show up?
Yeah, so I do. People that maybe would enjoy the company of others, they're welcome to come to the hospital from 11 to 12. We'll have volunteers there to serve them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so they're welcome to do that. No charge for that either. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what about the people who are helping to prepare and deliver? Do they need to let you know that they're coming?
No. They just show up.
Okay.
Because historically we'll have 100 people there to package the meals and at least 100 people there that want to deliver the meals.
And that's what I was going to ask. Does that stagger? Do you have to have a different group of volunteers because they're still plating while other people are taking hot meals while they're still hot out onto the road?
Now, typically what we do, we ask the people that want to package the meals to be there at 9:30. And it takes 30 or 45 minutes to go round and around the tables to prepare 300 or 400 meals. And then at 10:30, we'll have another, typically 100 plus people show up that want to deliver the meals.
Okay.
So we've got 300 or 400 styrofoam containers over here full of food, and at 10:30 they come in and prepare to deliver the meals. And in the meantime, what's happened is my cell phone will ring off the wall from people that want meals. They'll call and say, Mr. Curlee, I live at so-and-so address. There's 4 of us that live here. Can you deliver the meals? And yes, and I write them on a sheet. I got a notepad, and I write down the names and addresses and how many meals. Evelyn, my wife, is nice enough to enter all of that information in the computer. And then she will, maybe too much detail, but it's pretty neat the way it works. She'll print those 10 up on a sheet of paper. And then I take those sheets of paper in, and a volunteer will sit there and cut the strips up with the names, addresses, and how many meals. And then when all the volunteers show up at 10:30 that want to deliver, I'll ask, how many drivers do we have? And let's say there's 106 people there, but there's 42 drivers. So then I'll take the number of meals that we have divided by 42 drivers, and each one will get so many families. They'll go to a table where the volunteer has spread out all these little slips of paper, and they'll pick up 4 or 5.
Okay.
They'll gather that many meals that they need, load them in their car, and start delivering based on those little strips of paper that Evelyn has typed on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That's very organized. Very
Yeah.
well. So they're just selected. It's not like they're all separated northeast, northwest, southwest.
No,
They're just
but-
picking
but-
up 4 or 5 and.
Yeah, but people might say, okay, I'm going to look for XYZ housing properties, and they'll pick out those. And that way they're staying in the housing property. But then other people just take 3 or 4 pieces or whatever they need, from all over town.
What strikes me about this, and this might be an odd realization for someone else, but as an introvert, what really strikes me about that is I love the idea that you can volunteer in one of 2 ways that might be more comfortable to you, because I know I would lean toward packaging a meal rather than going to a stranger's house and feeling like I'd had to make conversation. Whereas the extroverts might be the greatest thing ever, to grab up a meal and go have a talk and sit down, and but they wouldn't necessarily want to put the meals together. So no matter which way you fall, there's an opportunity for you here if you want to volunteer, but you might have shied away from one or the other side of it.
That's an excellent point. There's even a step more than that. We haven't talked about my favorite part, the desserts.
Oh, the desserts, right.
So when after a year, I realized there are some individuals, perhaps like yourself, that were not comfortable making deliveries out in a part of Tullahoma that they might not be familiar with. And I understand that, okay? So I thought, what can they do? Well, they can make desserts. So on Christmas Eve, Evelyn and I will be at the hospital from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and all of these beautiful desserts will come in. Okay? There'll be pies and cakes, cookies, all kinds of things that will come in. We will keep those locked up overnight. And then the next morning, I'll cart them upstairs. We accept those, we receive those in the private dining room, which is downstairs at the front entrance. And then the next morning, I'll take them upstairs. I'll ask a couple of ladies to cut up the pies, cut up the cakes, whatever. And then they will put them on little styrofoam saucer things. And then when the people are making the circles, packaging the meals, they'll leave the container open. They'll walk over to the dessert tables, which are filled with these beautiful desserts that these oftentimes ladies have prepared. And they'll put the dessert on top of the meal. Then they'll close it up and take it over there. So the desserts give folks an opportunity, just like the packaging, that if they might be tied up on Christmas morning.
Right.
They might be tied up. They might have small children, but they still want to participate. So they'll bring a cake or a pie or desserts in the night before.
Okay.
Yeah. So it gives everybody an opportunity to participate to the extent that they can or want to.
Okay, and we will hit this again. We've got one more commercial break to get to, but before we go to it, I want to get that phone number out there. We'll say it again in the next segment, but I want to make sure that anybody who might be hearing about this for the very first time, if they know someone who might be lonely or homebound on Christmas morning, what's the phone number they call to get on that list?
So my cell number is 581-0360. 581-0360. That's the former mayor's cell number.
Okay. Hey, I know it's already out there. People couldn't be calling you to get on that list. So we are going to take another break. We'll be back and we'll talk a little bit more about Christmas meals after this.
Tullahoma Utilities Authority now has a branch at 501 West Lincoln Street. The drive-through only branch located in the old Citizens Tri-County Bank will be open on utility and light-to-bill due dates and the day before and after a TUA observed holiday. Check a complete list of dates at tullahomautilities.com.
Tullahoma Utilities Authority Light Tube Fiber Internet offers true gigabit service to our customers. We pride ourselves on speed, but the backbone of that speed is local tech support, unmatched customer service, and professional service technicians. To sign up, call 455-4515 to gain the reassurance of light tube reliability.
Never miss your favorite shows again. For an additional $7 a month along with your digital television service, LightTube Cloud DVR lets you record up to 8 programs at the same time, receive 500 gigabytes of cloud storage, and whole home DVR. Call TUA Customer Service to add LightTube Cloud DVR to your digital television service today at 455-4515.
And welcome back to Talking Tullahoma. Once again, I'm your host, Kelly Lepchinsky, here with former Mayor Lane Curlee, who is still active in the community. Obviously, we're here today talking about Christmas meals. That's certainly not the only thing that you've had going on. Even this year, the Reading Buddies program in the schools was something I would have loved to take in part, and I think it's great. You've got people going in and helping with some of the students to increase their reading capabilities after some, possibly low test scores earlier this year. Yeah. So that's just one of many things you've got going on, but we're here today talking about the Christmas meals, and I think we've hit most of the primary ways that this works, but we'll go over it again. They contact you.
Right.
Say, I'm homebound, I'm lonely, I've got no other option for Christmas morning. I would love for you to send somebody to my house with a hot meal.
Right.
And then you're at the hospital with all these volunteers who are preparing those meals and delivering those meals. Right. So you look like you're about to jump in there. So yeah, I think
So there's really two different parts of this. If an individual or family in Tullahoma that wants a meal, no questions asked, we will be prepared to serve them a hot meal. They need to call my cell number, 581-0360, and that will put them on a list to receive the number of meals they need. If they want to come to the hospital and eat with other folks, they're welcome to do that, no charge, of course, between 11 and noon on Christmas Day. All right. Now, so that takes care of the recipients of the meals. Mm-hmm. Now, if you want to volunteer, there's 4 ways you can volunteer to help out. If you're not comfortable maybe traveling to a part of town that you're not familiar with to deliver meals, or even next door for that matter, if you're not comfortable doing that, then you can bring a dessert, cookies, pie, cakes, whatever you want, on Christmas Eve to the hospital. Evelyn and I will be there to accept the desserts, okay? Number 2, if you want to come to the hospital at 9:30 on Christmas morning, then you can help package the meals. We're going to have ham and sweet potatoes and green beans, a roll and dessert. And you can help package the meals. If you want to deliver the meals to different parts of Tullahoma, then you're welcome to come to the hospital cafeteria at 10:30 on Christmas morning, okay? And then you'll however many meals you want to deliver, how many families you want to deliver to, you can deliver 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever. You'll go you'll go to the recipient's door. And hand the meals. They'll be expecting the meals. If it's appropriate, maybe have a short conversation with them. Merry Christmas, that kind of thing, or not, whatever you think to be appropriate. And the 4th way you can help, the hospital is so generous and they only charge the cost of the food. But if you want to make a small donation to help defray the cost of the food, you can send that to P.O. Box 84 in Tullahoma. If there's any money left over after we pay for the food, then I share that with the hospital cafeteria employees. And I also have a tip jar there as you come in to volunteer, that you can put $1 or $2 in there, and I share that with the employees as well, because they're the ones that are there on late Christmas Eve preparing all these meals.
Right. Now, what I just heard, or that I didn't quite put together the first time we covered all that timeline, is that because I honestly didn't know prior to today that people could come to the hospital to eat. Mm-hmm. I knew there were deliveries. I knew people came to take the deliveries. I didn't know people could come to eat. So you've got all these volunteers coming in to help drive at 10:30, and then people coming in to eat at 11. how do you corral that number of people coming into the hospital?
Well, it's a challenge. I probably need an engineer or somebody to help me to figure all that out. But, we're all volunteers. People are very patient with me. I just do the very best that we can. And I make announcements along the way about how it all works and things like that, Kelly. So, somebody a logistics person could do it much better than I can. But we're just volunteers doing the best we can, and everybody seems to understand that. Oftentimes, it's not just an individual that comes in to volunteer, but they bring their whole family, which is really pretty neat because it gives the children an opportunity to serve other people.
Right.
And that's, I think, what Christmas is all about.
And it's interesting, you had said that there are people who are already calling you saying, I'm so glad this program is coming back, that I really have been a part of this tradition. I've been looking forward to this tradition. We've missed this tradition. So not only have they missed it, you're probably going to see some familiar faces that you haven't seen in a while, or at least some people that this is a tradition just as much for you as for them.
Sure.
These are folks that have come to help you year after year, and they'll be back.
Oh, I'll see some of the same faces year after year after year. It's pretty neat. And I've watched some of these children grow up. We've been doing this for 24 years.
Yeah.
And so you've seen these children grow up, and oftentimes they're young adults. And I'm pretty sure a family has shared with me that they have now grown up and they have children, and they're bringing their young children as well.
We heard similar things while I was at the Tullahoma News, that Caring for Kids was a long running clothing program.
Yeah.
But parents brought their children along with them to help shop, and now those children are adults bringing their children to go shop. So all kinds of great Christmas stuff going on in this community, helping those who are lonely or in need in one way or another.
Sure.
We have run out of time. Lane, thank you so much for coming and doing this program with us today. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching it. We will see you next time on Talking Tullahoma.